What's going on, YouTubers, gamers and hobbyists? Welcome to this Marvel Crisis Protocol miniature core box set comparison and some thoughts on. Now, what you see before you is the entire collection of the original core box set character miniatures. I'm not talking about the terrain here. I'll cover that in a different video. So this is all the characters that you get with the core box set, and both I've assembled and primed to my satisfaction. Both core box sets, I've assembled them both and primed them both. Right, so what I've done basically, I've assembled them and I have prepared them. Some need slightly more preparation than others, but I've prepared them and I've primed them. First of all in black, then kind of around the sides with grey cere, and a couple of quick blasts over the top with white scar. And I've done that on all of the models, so just for ready for painting, because I want to be doing tutorials with these right now. So what you see before you is the original core box set. Okay. This is the later core box set. As you can see, there are more miniatures in it. Same characters. A couple of them have got two models. We'll come on to that. But let's just go with some of the comparisons first. So we are going to start with Captain America original and later version. So okay, so on the left is the original Captain America, and on the right is the later one. Different pose, as you can see. The one on the left is like the Steve Rogers version. He does look a little small, I have to say, but all in all, there's not a huge amount of difference. But he is slightly bigger on the later core box set. So that's Captain America. Now, Captain America, the original one, it wasn't too bad to build. He wasn't awful to build. I've built worse. I must preempt this before I carry on with saying that the miniatures in the later core box set generally were easier to assemble. Okay. Now, that aside, we'll get back to it. So this is the Steve Rogers version of Captain America, which I actually really like. Really like the uniform on this one. I will say the later version, I would say yes, he was actually easier to build, because some of most of the components in the original core box set on the sprues far too fiddly, like arms that come in 3 pieces, for example. And that's just just one example. But anyway, yeah, so that's the Captain America, so side by side, very, very good. The next one, which is quite a cool comparison, is the Red Skull. Now, where is he? That's the original, and that's the later one. So, holding the cube aloft in both there. There's no real difference in scale, I would say, there. From my perspective, I can't really see any real difference, but you stood on a case on the later one. It's a little bit different, but I mean, you could get away with either. I mean, to be fair, you can play any miniature in this if you want to play that. That's fine. So that's the Red Skull comparison, right? Okay, so that's that. Let's do another one, a comparison, which is interesting. Iron Man. Okay, so that's the later one, the latest core box set. See him, he's off I don't know what mark suit of the Iron Man that is. But here's the original. As far as poses go, I like the original better, I think. But as I say, the later one easier to build, even in that pose. Some of the ones in the later box set, and I'll come on to those in a moment, felt a bit more flimsy as I was building them. Now they've had a chance to dry and settle and all that. They're really not, but yeah. So Iron Man, I do prefer the original miniature here. I just like that Mark II armor or whatever it is he's got going on there. Yeah, as opposed to whatever this is. Whatever mark that is. He's got the triangle thingamajigger reactor, arc reactor in his chest there, as opposed to the circular one there. So that's another cool comparison to make. Okay, an interesting one now will be Captain Marvel. So let's bring in the original Captain Marvel. Yeah. Now, you got two versions of Captain Marvel. I can't remember what they're called because I don't have the rules with me, but here they are in the later box set. So you got those there. I suppose you could use any of these as Captain Marvel, should you wish. I haven't really got a lot to say. As I say, it's slightly more flimsy. This one in particular wasn't the easiest. Not very hard to build, but you know, it's a little bit finicky with the whatever it is around her, like that material she's got going on around here. I don't know what that is, like robes, whatever. I did like the fact that it had an alternative head, one with long hair. I prefer that. But yeah, so there's two models of Captain Marvel in the later core box set. Let's do one of the bigger ones. So Doc Ock, there's the original. Let's just zoom out ever so slightly. There's Doc Ock, the original. Now Doc Ock, the later one, is here. So he stood with his arms folded in the original, with no coat, and this is 4 tentacle arms are just around him. Whereas in the later one, some of his tentacles, like all 3 of them, are used to prop him up, and the other one is like them conducting some sort of experiment with a dropper bottle, which I think is really cool. And the later one, he's also got the coat on, which for me, I prefer, because that's just how I picture him. But same size base, so you know. Other than that, that's all good. So did one of the larger, the base ones there. So that's kind of cool. Now, let's do Spider-Man. There's the original Spider-Man. I quite like that as a pose. Yeah, I like that a lot. On the tabletop. Not sure I'm a huge fan at the moment of this one, although it's a bit more dramatic, isn't it? This one with his web around him and he's kind of mid-air and all that, but flimsy, yeah, not a fan of that. I prefer the pose of the original, I have to say, because he's got that ready for action thing going on. You know, let's do the rock thing there. So not much really to say on Spider-Man, but yeah. Okay, let's do Crossbones. Okay, so here is the later one. Oop. And here is the original. Now, scale-wise, there's really nothing in it, I don't think. I like this big oofing like gun he's got on there, the later one. I remember this one being the easiest model to build in the original core box set. That one was easy. And when they're easy, they're a joy. to build, aren't they? When they're easy, I find anyway. Now, Baron Zemo. Let's do Baron Zemo. Let's do the original. There's Baron Zemo original, and the later one. Again, nothing in it, I would say. I mean, he even looks a bit smaller, the later one, to me. I don't know much about Baron Zemo. He's got a sword. That's about all I know. That is literally all I know. But that's the comparison there. Now, interesting. Okay, so we'll go to Black Widow. I do like this pose from the original box set. I really do. But she's got a pretty cool pose in the newer one, where she's kind of destroying one of Necron's bots, I would say, there, which is quite cool. Yeah. I would say, again, scale-wise, it's probably the same. I prefer the original one, though, because it's just more neutral, I think. Is that one? Yeah, that one. She's got, like, some rattan sticks or whatever in her hand. And it looks cool and all, but I don't know, I just prefer the original. Because it's neutral. She's pointing probably some wrist weapon thing at whoever, and that's cool. Right, now we come to the last one of the original core box set, which is Ultron, of course. He's on the other big base, and there he is. Now, he looks pretty cool, I think. You know, I opted to give him a cloak in the newer core box set. That was one of the options. There's not really anything in the scale, though, I don't think. Except now he comes with bots. So, Ultron's bots, and there they are. 4 bots, or 5 if you count the broken one on the bottom of the base there, you know. So that'll be an interesting one to do. I don't know what the stats are on any of these yet, you know, how good or bad they are in the game, but we'll come on to that again in later videos. That's the last of the comparisons I could do, but there is one extra one in the later core box set, and that's the Winter Soldier. And there he is. He looks pretty good, and I opted for the head where he's got like mask over, like a face mask over half of his head there. So look there. I don't know if you can see that. So yeah, that's the Winter Soldier. And that's the comparison side by side. So this is all the newer ones. A lot to get through. A heck of a lot to get through. Especially the two, you got having 2 Captain Marvels. I don't quite understand why, but there you go. And then, of course, here you have all the original ones. Nearly there, folks. There we go. So there it is. So on the right, the original core box set. On the left, the later core box set. So yeah, I actually enjoyed putting these together. I did not enjoy putting the original ones together. Did not enjoy those. Glad I have, though, because now I've got some awesome miniatures, like, you know, the Captain America and the Spider-Man and the Iron Man there. Even Ultron. Yeah, I like them all. I think I like all their poses on the original ones. I like most of the poses on the later ones, but not all. So I prefer some of the poses on the older ones, but all of the later ones were so much easier and more enjoyable to build. And that is my honest opinion. Which would I choose if I could only choose one? Well, of course, I'd choose the later one, because I wouldn't want to go through the hell of building arms in 3 pieces. Heck no. But yeah, if you've only got the original one, then stick with that. That's fine. And if you've got the acuity to get on board with the original rules as they were, you're playing solo, then that's absolutely fine too. A little bit more streamlined, I believe, so I'm told. In the later ones, I was advised to kind of basically bin the original rules to go with the new rules, but I can mix and match or use either miniatures for whatever purpose I see fit. Anyway, guys, that's my side-by-side comparison of the 2 core box sets. Thanks ever so much for watching. Please do give the video a thumbs up. Really, really helps. And perhaps I'll see you on another video out there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share if you can. Bye for now, folks. Bye bye.